Hi. So today I'm going to follow up on that video that I did on Yelp and salespeople with some new developments in this whole fun process. So to keep a long story short, you should watch this video, but just to keep a long story short, in the 6 to 7 years that I've been using Yelp, for when I worked at other businesses and when I also started my own business, I would receive sales calls from Yelp. And I always was polite. I was kind and polite. I'd say, listen, I don't want to waste your time. I'm not interested. Or when I worked for other businesses, the business owner is not interested. And since I know that I am not interested, since I know I will never pay you, I would like you to have the benefit of not having your time wasted, so I would like to end the phone call. And as you people know, as you people who get these phone calls from Yelp know, it's impossible to actually end the phone call without either being rude or hanging up on that person. So what I did is, after a really long time of just getting sick and tired of this, I finally decided to post a video on it, because this one particular Yelp salesperson not only, was the same typical Yelp salesperson, wouldn't hang up, would refuse to take no for an answer, emailed after, called after, did not respect the I don't wish to be called anymore, didn't respect any of that at all. Not like a usual telemarketer where they just hang up and give up if you're not interested. Kept calling, emailing. But she gave away a bunch of personal analytics. From my friend Sonny, who has a store in the area, and I kind of thought that wasn't cool. Call me nuts. I shouldn't know how many deals you sold. I shouldn't know how many views you get. I shouldn't know any of I shouldn't have access to your back-end analytics if I am not somebody that you've approved. I shouldn't have access to that. And I did a video on that, and you can watch that. Now, today I get a pretty interesting phone call, and I'd like to share the contents of the phone call with you. So I managed to type it out right after it was done so I wouldn't forget. It says, "Is this Rossman? I want to congratulate you. You put a little stuff on the internet. You ruined a 23-year-old's life. You got her fired. You know what happens to shitbags like you? Bad karma. God will pay you back." So I figured, I get some funny calls off of YouTube. I get some trolls every now and then. But just for the fuck of it, this time I decided, you know what? Let me Google the number. So let's see what happens if I go over here and I go to Google the number. So here's Google Chrome. I'm going to put the number in. I'm going to Google it. And remember, the name of the person, the name of that salesperson that was contacting me, I believe, was Erica Sperber. So now you get this. I get Sperber Denenberg Kahan PC. Interesting last name right over there, right? So let's just say I were to look up Erica Sperber on Google. Let's just see what comes up. Let's be a bit of a detective here. Let's search for this and Yelp. Let's add Yelp. So we get a LinkedIn page, right? So we get this LinkedIn page. That's not it. Let's find the one for Yelp. Oh, I typed in Yep. I'm being an idiot here. Okay, so we're going to get the one for Yelp. Here we go. Associate Sales Manager. Now, when I originally looked this up prior to making the video, it listed Yelp. It's obvious why it's not listing that at the moment. But when you look over here for jobs, you get the same law firm, Sperber Denenberg Kahan PC. So, again, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that the person that called me was most likely her dad or uncle or brother, somebody in the family that knows her, that hired her, and is annoyed that they lost their job. And I'd like to talk about this a little bit because this is an interesting topic. So, if you're a dad, let's just get aside from all the Yelp telemarketing, or how much all of us as business owners collectively despise Yelp telemarketers. Let's just go away from all that for a minute and just talk about understanding for a little bit. So if you're a dad, I understand completely if your daughter comes home and she's kind of sad or irritated or has had a bad day, and she says, "I got fired because this guy said something about me on the internet." Your first response as a father, if you have a brain and a heart, should be something like, "Where is that guy? Who is he? I want to bash his fucking brains in." That is the standard response that most fathers are going to have when they realize that somebody has hurt their daughter in some way. I completely understand that response. I completely understand wanting to help them, and I completely understand wanting to be mad at the person that you perceive as having caused that damage. I get it. But the problem here is that there are better ways to do that. So let's say that you're mad. You can call and be mad and say, "Hi, my name is this, and this is why I think what you did is screwed up." You could come here and say, "Hi, what you did is screwed up. This is my name, and this is why I think that this is wrong." What you did when you made that phone call where you're like, you little shit eater or you're scumbag or and God is going to give you bad karma, blah, 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 and then hung up the phone immediately, what you did there is you kind of showed that you have no backbone. You kind of showed that you have no spine. You kind of showed that you go through life like a little fucking weasel that doesn't attach their name to what it is they say. I have to fucking Google the phone number on my caller ID because when I call you back, you won't pick up the phone because you have no backbone and because you also won't tell me who you are, what your name is, because you also have no backbone. You could talk to your daughter. You could try to say, here's what you could do to help get your job back. Here's what you could do to get a job at a different company. Here's what we can do to just make you feel better. But no, you got to call back the guy who made a video with a print screen of her email and say that you're a shitbag, blah, blah, blah. And again, if you're going to do that, if you're going to be the tough guy, if you're going to be the guy that's wielding the titanium stick and going, yeah, fuck you, at the very least, have the balls to attach your name to it. There are a lot of people that I think are pieces of shit. But when I say that I think they're a piece of shit, like I think you're a piece of shit, Mr. Sperber, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my name, Louis Rossman, to it because I have an actual fucking backbone. And if I call you to make my little 19-second rant and I, for some reason, have no balls and I decide to hang up right after and you call me back, I might just pick up the phone because, again, I have a set of balls, I have integrity, and I attach my name to what it is I say, I attach my name to my actions, and I attach my name to what I do. But call me nuts. That's just my line of thinking. So again, this is kind of silly because all this started out as was I was sick and tired of Yelp telemarketers. Again, 7 years, once a month without fucking fail, somebody from Yelp will call me to try to sell me on business advertising. I see you have a Yelp page. I see your business has a Yelp page, but you have no advertising. You have never paid for our features. Would you like to? No. Here's why I don't want to. Here's why I'm not interested, and here's why I would politely ask that you not call me again. And every single time, for 7 fucking years, you people have lacked the dignity to leave me alone. You people have lacked the decency to leave me alone. Because that's all I ever asked. Again, I'm not asking to ruin people's lives. I'm not asking to get people fired. All I want is for when I pick up my phone, when I pick up the phone, that the person on the other end is not somebody that is trying to sell me advertising. And I think the same can be said for almost every small business owner that doesn't have a staff of 10 or 20 receptionists that can answer these calls. All we collectively ask for is that when we answer the phone is that it's a business lead and not somebody trying to sell us advertising. And at the very least, if you're going to call trying to sell something, all we want, again, we're not about getting people fired, we're not about ruining people's lives. All we want is if we politely ask, I would like for this phone call to end because I am not interested in this service, that you have the fucking decency to say, okay, thank you, we're not going to bother you and hang up. Not try to keep the conversation going. Not interrupt and continue to interject the same idea. Not email and call and follow up afterwards, month after month after month after month for 7 fucking years. Is that not, am I nuts for asking for this basic decency that every other telemarketer I have ever dealt with, besides the Yelp ones, have had the decency to respect? Because I get some pretty silly calls from a lot of different telemarketers. But Yelp telemarketers, and I'm not just saying this in specific for Erica. This is for everybody who's ever called me from Yelp. So by the way, I think it's kind of unfair that you guys fired Erica for pretty much following the company culture that you guys have for sales. Because it's not just her. The other guy here gets calls for his business that's in Jersey that has a Yelp page, and that's from a guy. So I know it's not Erica, and they do the exact same thing where they're showing the stats from other businesses. This is a company-wide thing. This is a culture of how you sell, and Yelp is penalizing one person like, oh no, we're not about that. We don't encourage that type of sales. Let's get rid of this person so that the blame is on them and not us. That's kind of bullshit on Yelp's part, but I understand why they did that. But yeah, I feel like it's kind of fucked up that you fire somebody for pretty much doing sales the way that you guys have been doing sales for the past 7 years just because you got caught. You know, management needs to get fired, not the new sales associates. But that's beside the point here. Again, and this kind of goes back to that entitlement video that I did about the millennial generation. Let's talk a little bit more about this. So again, in that lovely enraged 15-second phone call, you ruined a 23-year-old's life, you got her fired. again, if I were to mention all the jobs that I've been fired from over the course of my life, needless to say, my life has not been ruined. But besides that, firstly, like the whole sympathy idea, like I should feel bad because this person is 2 years younger than me. Like I'm picking on a young person. I turned 26 recently. Like this person's 2.5 years younger than me. If you're fishing for sympathy there, like it's not there. But at the same time, let's go back to the video I did on millennials and entitlement. So, you called my business, so you're taking my time. So you already feel entitled to my time. After I've spent 10 minutes on the phone with you trying to be polite and telling you why I'm not interested in what it is you're offering, you still feel entitled to continue talking to me. So not only do you feel an entitlement to call repeatedly, you also feel an entitlement to continue to take time after calling. Then you feel an entitlement to email afterwards and continue to have a dialogue and to continue to bombard me with unsolicited offers for services that I've made it clear that I'm not interested in. And after all that's done, when I decide, you know what, I'm not going to put mean things on the internet like you're implying, I'm not going to be a shitbag, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a print fucking screen, a capture of the bullshit that you continue to send me and put it on the internet. I'm wrong. This is the problem I have with my generation. This is the world that we live in, where people in my generation, they feel entitled to everything, and anything that goes against what it is they want is perceived as a great injustice. And this is a great example, and this goes back to that, there was this thing that happened a year ago where this student was talking about the Eric Garner verdict, and going on and talking about how all the students at the school needed to not have to take finals, this week because of it, and how this all needs to be delayed, and how it would be a great injustice to not delay it. And the professor just replied back with no. And it was perceived by all these people in my generation as a great injustice. Like this terrible thing has occurred, and this is mean and wrong. And the reality is that it wasn't mean, it wasn't wrong, it wasn't an injustice. It was simply inconvenient. It was simply against the rules. Again, we're not going to delay a final because 1,000 miles away, something that's not related to our final has occurred. And the same thing goes here. You feel entitled to my time. You feel entitled to call me. You feel entitled to pester me. And the difference between telemarketing and pestering and harassment is when I say, I wish to not receive calls from you anymore. Please do not call me anymore. I am not interested in these services, nor am I interested in any future phone calls. And you continue for 7 fucking years to continue calling. That is harassment. So now you feel entitled to harass me. And now when I'm not saying mean things about you, but when I simply upload proof of harassment, proof of breach of privacy, again, not my opinion piece, but when I upload a print screen of what you said, I've done something wrong. I'm the shitbag. I'm the asshole because I've inconvenienced you. Well, let me tell you something. This is not an injustice. This is not a wrong. This is not like a bad karma thing. This is me simply taking what it is you've done. I shouldn't say you. I'm taking what your daughter did, and I'm simply displaying it for the world to see. If it wasn't bad, if it wasn't bullshit, she wouldn't have gotten in trouble. If it wasn't crap, if it wasn't something that you shouldn't be doing, if it wasn't an unethical manner of telemarketing, you'd be in no trouble. So you're saying that I am a shitbag, that I am this asshole, that I'm a shitbag because I showed the world what you were doing. So what does that say for what you were doing? What does that say for you? Not much. That's my opinion on it. I don't know what you guys think. That's another thing. You got to take responsibility for your actions in life. So when I hired the wrong person to update my website from Magento 1.4 to 1.6, when I hired the wrong people for the job, they didn't fix the drop-down box where it would say authorization or sale. And as a result of that, I almost lost $30,000. I collected 20 of it back, so I only lost 10. I had to take responsibility for that. When I opened the store in an area that I shouldn't have, I took a loss of about $15,000. I had to take responsibility for that. When I hired people that were not fit for the jobs that I hired them for, and they broke things after months of paying them very good wages, I could not say, you know what, you broke that stuff, and because you broke that stuff, I'm not paying you. No, I had to be the one to sit them down. I had to be the one to fire them. I had to be the one to see that look in their face and have to know going home that I caused that when they had that look in their face like, how am I going to pay them bills next month? I had to be the one to pay for all that stuff because it was my decision to hire that person. I have to deal with the real world consequences of the decisions that I make, whether they're good or bad. The same way that you have to deal with the consequences of your decision when I say, please, politely, kindly, stop calling me. Stop offering me this. I don't want this. You chose. Again, it ain't about me ruining your life. You chose to do something. And I gave you the right choice. I said, I'm not interested. And then you continued going on and on and on and on, which is harassment. So if something happens, if you get fired, if somebody just so happens to hear my opinion and think as a result of my opinion that you shouldn't be working there anymore, you have to take responsibility for that. That ain't got nothing to do with me. My responsibility for that ended when I asked you politely, I'm not interested in this, can you please stop calling me? And that's another thing that my generation just doesn't understand. Taking responsibility for your actions, taking responsibility for your failures, taking responsibility for your decisions. And again, try to be an adult about it. Again, if that happened to me, I'd be pissed. Again, I'd want to pick up the stick and find the person that made my daughter feel bad, and I'd want to bash their face in. I understand that. That's a natural thing. That's a natural thing. That's a natural, fatherly instinct. You know, that whole idea of like, who made you cry, pick up the baseball bat, run and bash. But I understand. I have no disrespect for that instinct. I understand where it's coming from. I understand where this came from. Again, if you're going to do that, sign your name to it. Have a spine. Have a backbone. Stand up for what it is you believe in by actually attaching your name to what you're doing, or at the very least, when I call you back to clarify, who are you? Why do you think this? When I call you back, have the decency to actually pick up that office phone that you used to call me and say this shit on so that, we can have a real conversation. Because that's what real adults do. That's what real grown-ups do. And it's something that you clearly lack the ability to do. You're able to say all this stuff on a phone call and hang up really quickly before giving your name, but you're not actually interested in having a real dialogue. You're not actually interested in figuring out the whole story. You're not actually interested in figuring out whether you may be wrong. And even if you are interested in all of that, you're too much of a spineless prick to actually kind of attach your name to it, which again is something you should do when you have that type of vocal opinion. If you feel about something that much, you shouldn't be afraid to attach your name to it. I shouldn't have to Google you to figure out who you are. As you know, again, this is another thing. Like, this is a YouTube channel. So this is off of company website. This is away from corporate communications. So when I talk and when I say things in these videos that may be a little racy, a little nuts, you have to realize that a lot of the times I'm not saying that to actual clients. I'm giving my opinion. This is kind of an off the cuff, off the collar kind of talk show kind of thing that I'm doing late at night. That's different from how I actually do business. When I pick up the phone, I would not in a million years pick up my business phone and tell somebody that you're a shitbag and that God will pay you back with bad karma. Call me crazy. Again, a lot of people say that I'm unprofessional, but that's not the type of thing that I would do from my business phone, and that's just being a stupid little fucking repair shop. That's definitely not something that I'm going to do as a professional law firm. People expect better from Sperber, Denenberg, Kahan, PC, the great real estate law firm. Again, if I go to something like this, if I go to a website like this, I'm going to think that I'm getting a different set of people than what I'm going to get, from listening to that little tirade of yours. Again, let's look this guy up. Let's see. So again, this is the guy, who lacks the balls to actually attach his name to the shit that he says. And again, it's just lame. Like, again, I don't, there's a basic level of professionalism that even I am not going to stoop to. If I am going to do something of that nature, at the very least, and if I'm going to do something that is that, again, spineless, is to not attach my name to it, I'm going to do it from, cell phone. I don't know, just my thoughts in the process. But either way, Yelp gets to pretend that they actually cared. Yelp gets to pretend that they have actually changed their policy. And Yelp gets to pretend that this was not their fault. This was an isolated incident with one person. And deep down, I understand that Erica was simply, again, she's following the culture at Yelp. She's following what every other salesperson is doing there. And you're right. It's not fair that this one person got singled out. It's not fair that this one person got fired as a result of doing what everybody else at that company is doing. Again, the flaws, the problems lie with the management. The flaws most likely lie in the people that actually fired her, not so much her. But it is what it is. Again, at the end of the day, try to realize, again, all these people, we're not all evil. All of these repair shops, all of these pizza shops, all these ice cream shops, all these delis, all these restaurants, we're not evil, mean people. We're not people that want to see other people lose their jobs. We're not the people that want to see other people lose their living. All we want is some control over our phones. All we want is that when we pick up the phone, that it's new business, that it's not an ad, and that if it's an advertisement, that if we politely say, please, trying to be polite, please stop calling me because I'm not interested in this, that you respect it. And if you don't have that basic level of respect, well, it's kind of obvious why, you'd be sending emails like that anyway, because it makes it obvious you don't really have respect for much in life, including yourself. Again, the whole no backbone thing. But that's all I got to say for today. So, again, if you want to say shit like that, if you want to be an asshole, and you want to like talk all that big talk, 186 First Avenue, open 10 to 8, also open 10 to 6 on the weekend. Why don't you come and attach your name to it and say these type of things in front of people? Because again, that's the way that I think you should if you have those type of opinions, and not like hiding your name in a fucking phone.